Good evening and welcome to Speaker Club Saturday night number 109. I've been missing you all for a long time now. After 3 weeks of break, I'm here back with you all with another exciting session. Service. When I tell the word service, what comes to your mind? Uma ma'am.
Yeah, what you give to others.
Interesting. Madhu.
Give best so that so that he will come to you other than anyone else.
Interesting. Dinesha.
Empathy.
Empathy. Interesting. Thank you. Thank you for those three perspectives. Here, when I said service, my focus wasn't only about the word or the meaning of it about giving. My focus was about going beyond, giving that differentiator, which is what I feel service is about. When whatever you're doing, whether you're a student, you're seeking a job, you are employed, you're running a business, whosoever you're interacting with, how are you adding value and what are you doing beyond the basics of what is required? The extra bit is what I call the service. Here for this session, I'm going to be focused on that. And for the relevance for everyone, whether it's a student or whether you're a professional, you're a freelancer, whether you're running a business, whosoever, the entire session will make sense to you only when you put whatever I'm discussing into your context. Because I could be talking about a generic example, but if you make that relevant to your job, your boss, or whomsoever it is that you are interacting with, get that in context and see what are you doing and how can we do it better. The entire focus is there. Now, the reason why we're talking of in 2022 about service is because unlike a few years or a decade or 2 decades back, the world was different. For everything, not everything was as plagiarized with competition or challenges like we have today. Today, there's competition, there's challenge in every facet of your life. Whether even if you're a student, you have a challenge or you have a competition on how you can get teachers' attention. If you're an employee or if you're looking for a job, there's a competition for 1,000 people applying for 2 jobs. If you're in a team, if you're in a company, the boss's attention when it comes to 20 people chasing that same boss, or when you are a business owner, you are chasing that same customer whom 20 different people are chasing, 20 different businesses are chasing. And so it has become very important for us to understand this idea of service and how, despite competition, despite the challenges that we're facing, how can we all succeed and get a sure shot answer for succeeding? It is not a shortcut. I would rather say it's a long cut and a traditional thought process of how we can be successful irrespective of the competition. It could be a little longer in duration, but it is a sure shot and possibly what I think the only way in which we all can succeed, whatever it is, how much of a competition there is. Having said that, if I were to ask you, do you have a cup of coffee or tea? You have a cup of coffee or tea? Chetan?
Yes.
I can't hear you, Chetan.
Can you please repeat? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes. Can you please repeat?
Where do you have your coffee? Any place outside?
Yes, sometimes. Sometimes.
Chai bandi, Starbucks, coffee day?
No, normal. Regular.
15-20 रुपए वाली.
Yes, yes, yes.
Sometimes you go to Starbucks.
Sometimes.
Coffee का taste में इतना कितना? 100% difference, 200% difference, 2x, 3x good, but the pricing difference from 15 to 300 for a coffee. Why? Why are you willing to pay that?
Due to the brand name.
Brand name? ऐसे तो मैं भी बोलूंगा मैं Starbucks दे रहा हूँ, आ जाओ ले लो 300 रुपए में. What is it that is making you willing to pay the price?
Along with coffee, there are other things like that ambience is there, where we can spend some time.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I were to ask you, how many of you all have idli dosa or for breakfast? Okay, Dinesha, where do you go regularly?
So regularly I'll go one hotel called Taja Tindi. It is almost 10 kilometers far from my place where I stay.
Okay.
The beauty there is, one is that cleanliness. Second one is that they use all automated machines. The items they use all are high quality grade materials they use for the cooking.
What is
And
what
they
is the
use-
cost? What is the cost of one plate idli?
One plate idli cost also very cheap. It is 20 rupees, 10 rupees one idli.
There are other places where you could be getting with your family, or if you are going for some other places where the plate idli will be 70, 80 also, you must be going there also, right?
No, we will not prefer. Even here, only one thing is the distance is the matter. Even though we less price and the quality also fine. That is the reason. Even if it distance also will go there.
So any other restaurant where you feel that okay, their idli is costing over 50 rupees?
We explored all Bangalore, all the famous hotel, even CTR, Mayur, all the hotel. Finally, we stick to this hotel.
Interesting. Why did you not go to other places once you explored them? Why did you stick to this place?
No, we explored. We went to all the hotel. There it was like same masala dosa. Here it is 25 rupees. Other hotel they'll cost you around 150 rupees. But we will not feel the difference. This 25 rupees is better than 150.
Interesting. Thank you, Dinesha. The reason why I'm asking you all this is, look at the differential. The same dosa he's saying is at 25 also and at 150 also. But still he prefers to go, not because it's 25. He prefers to go because the reasons are different for him, to the place which is serving in 25. If tomorrow, Dinesha, he starts to increase his price and he makes it 40 rupees, what will you do?
I stick to the same hotel.
Interesting. Look at the connect one person builds when something resonates with him, with what he wants. Now, the question that I want to ask you all is, who is a customer? Who is a customer? Uma ma'am, who's your customer?
One who comes back to me again and again.
So first time he's not your customer?
First time, the person is new to me. So I build a rapport, build a trust, and see that they come back again.
Interesting. Let me ask, who's there? Chetan, who's your customer?
As I am a teacher running a coaching
Chetan,
institute.
I can't hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, again now, yes.
As I am a teacher, so I run coaching institute. So the parents of my students are my customers.
Interesting. Subbu, where do you work?
I'm into the now company working an IT
So
company.
who's your customer?
My customer, it's one of the impact US customer.
Interesting. So you directly deal with them, or are you
Yes.
supporting someone who deals with them?
No, we're directly dealing with them.
Interesting. Thank you. The reason why I asked these questions to different types of people over here is because we often think of customer in terms of business, the person who's giving you the money. But there are always a chain of sequence where the end customer who's giving the money could be different from whom you are interacting with. But for a business to succeed, an IT support person, for him, the client, the customer who's there, he's not the customer. The person who's sitting and working, that is the person who's a customer for the IT support team. When you look at whom you are in touch with, the next person, whether he's giving you the money or whether he's giving you the salary or whether he's the one that is main, whether he's the one who's going to give the ultimate benefit to you or not, with whomsoever you are interacting, that is the customer. Because when you look at the chain of events, we do not directly, every person in this company doesn't operate and touch base with the ultimate payer. But we are supporting each other in a chain of events wherein we eventually support someone who is eventually supporting the client. or dealing with the client. Now, why I'm saying this is because when it comes to serving, we are talking of not just serving the customer in the traditional way. We are talking of serving whomsoever we are in touch with, whomsoever we are talking about. So for Dinesha, as an example, if he's a customer to that restaurant, for that restaurant, the staff, the owner might not be there. For that staff, Dinesha is a customer. For the person who's cooking and making that dosa, he might not be in touch with Dinesha, but the waiter who's bringing is the one he's in touch with. So for the cook, the waiter is the customer. And when you understand this principle that the end payer is not just the customer, but anyone whom you are in touch with, whomever you are serving is a customer, you'll realize that you are an important factor. You and the work that you're doing is important. And so the quality and how well you're doing something will make a difference to the entire set of things. So as an example, if you're going for an interview, you're looking for a job. For you, that interviewer is the customer. If you're working in the team, the boss, you're reporting to your boss is the customer for you. How well are you serving his need? How well are you delivering on his project is the approach that you need to have. The boss might be going and presenting it to the customer, the end client. But the fact is you are serving the boss. And if you do this work right, the company and everything else will fall in place automatically. So each one of you in the things that you're doing, remember you are important, and the way you do things is crucial in the entire chain of events. So that is where we are talking of how the customer and what you are serving to the customer is very important. This is where people often miss out on the link that in banks, if you go, someone thinks that this is not my job, he's not the customer. But eventually, if you are messing up with the person, the cash giver or the cash teller who's there, if he's not in the same mind, what will happen is that he'll deliver a bad service to the customer, and eventually it will backfire to you. So remember, the customer is whosoever you are serving is the customer. And the world has changed, and the competition which I was referring to, look at 90s as an example, Bajaj. There was a time in 90s, everyone would have, whosoever knows of that time, excuse me, Sri Krishna and Akanksha for your age, but yes, if you know the Bajaj story, they were at a time when there was no competition. Bajaj Chetak, they had a waiting time of over 6 months. If you book it, if you're lucky enough, you'll get it before 6 months. The market was so. But then eventually Indian market opened up, competition started, and everyone started to come. But with the arrogance that people are waiting for me, the arrogance which came in, the change didn't come through. They did not focus on customer service because it was not required. There was no competition. But today, if you look at it in a different way, the times have so changed that the market has shifted from the seller's market, where the companies which were selling were the powerful ones. Today, it has shifted to the buyer's market, where the choice, you as a customer, so whosoever is there now in the jobs, earlier government job, you get one, do everything sequentially, get the job and you're done, settled for life. Today, even getting that is a challenge, because for one post, even if it's a P.1 post, PhDs are applying and there's a waiting list. There are over 5,000 people applying for 50 jobs. So technically, the world has shifted completely from that buyer market to a seller market to a buyer's market. So the competition is so that you have to differentiate yourself. Now the question is, because it has shifted from the seller's market to the buyer's market, look at the choices people have. If someone has to choose you, how do you make yourself different? Dinesha's example, there are 10 hotels which are providing the same dosa. Tomorrow, you talk of any technology, anything that you're doing, any product that you have, look at how a product can be replicated so easily. What you know, your knowledge, the things that you're doing can be replicated or are a common thing between so many people. But how do you differentiate? In that kind of a competition, how do you survive and how do you make yourself different? And that is where the idea of service comes into the picture, because that's something which is unique to you and the way you do things. And it's not a case where we're talking of deliver on one instance. Focus and that ideology of service has to become a way of life, because you never know at what point in time, what kind of opportunity comes in, and how you're delivering on that opportunity changes your life altogether. You would have had, I'm sure each one of you all would have a story about how you did a certain thing so many times, and suddenly, unexpectedly, one time it clicked and the response came, or the appreciation came, or the award came. The same thing, you did it 10 times also, but you didn't get any appreciation. You would have had instances where you don't know which one is the one. I still remember I told you all guys about the Instagram post which had over 5 million views. I don't know which one. I just have to make sure I'm giving my best shot every time. Which one will happen? Highly unlikely that I'll know which one. But because I've delivered, I've served a customer and they're not happy, or whatever is the response after 10 times, the 11th time, it's natural for you to not deliver the same kind of enthusiasm and the same kind of work. Uma ma'am, you call, if you, as an example, you call so many people that I'm offering this course, join me, or join our this course. When you begin the day with a pitch like that, after 20 rejections, how will your pitch be for the 21st call? That difference is what we're saying, because you never know which pitch is going to work out for you. It can be the second pitch of the day, or it can be the 25th pitch of the day. But if you do not give that kind of a service or the kind of same excitement which is required as it was in the first one, as it is required in the 25th one, you are going to lose out. Because to the customer, to the receiver, you are the first one. For you, he might be the 25th prospect, but to him, you are the first one. It's your first impression for him. But your expression, your enthusiasm, your zeal with which you're calling, the attitude that you're going in that call with is different for the first person, while it is from what it is being delivered to the 25th person. Madhu, go ahead. Madhu?
Yeah, I completely understand what is exactly the value you're talking about the service. And here, my question is here, is it really connected with our behavioral pattern, or the way you treat people, or your surroundings where you grow up? That is also will related to that, because we can see that even as you mentioned, all the places where we go daily regularly, we can see in front of us 3-4 options. While you're explaining, I am thinking myself, why I'm going to only this place? Definitely the service which they're smiling and very happily inviting me, and the next time I love to go there. So yeah, my question is here, like that I choose a places without knowing myself. I am going right now to those places, including the quality or whatever we need of the service. But is it, I mean, for us, for example, I want to improve my best service. Is it connected with our behavior patterns, or how? I think you got my point, right?
Yeah, I got your point, Madhu. One thing is, if you're talking of behavioral nature, I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to a professional conduct or the approach that you have in the way you're doing things. It does have an impact. I, coming from a certain background, I coming from a business background, will have a knack for a certain approach in things, while you could have a different approach. But the point is, for us to understand what is service and how am I improving or going beyond what is expected, is where the game is. So as much as you can do, the same is what I can do. With regard to going beyond, the service part of it comes, the smiling part of it comes, because it's a way of life, an attitude that you're building, because this is something which will attract people. You are doing it unconsciously is exactly the point that I'm mentioning to everyone. People might not consciously choose you, but their unconscious bias towards what they like and how someone is performing, how someone is going beyond and offering not just that dosa. It could be the hardcore things like using a machinery rather than using hands, or having that service kind of orientation where the person is smiling, there's a happy environment which is there. Those all factors are consciously built. That is where the difference lies. I could have a troubled environment at home, but the office where I go, I need to make sure that the environment is such where the customers feel that they want to come back. How much ever I might want, how much ever tension I might have, or the environment, the problems that I might have, I can't bring that to the workplace, because that is where the customer is coming in. For them to keep coming back, I need to make sure that environment is maintained in a certain way. So it's a conscious attempt of what we'll be discussing about all these things, about what needs to be done so that we can make sure the customer comes to us. We are coming to that next. So any other questions, anyone, in the meantime? I hope I've answered you, Madhu. Okay, any other questions, anyone? Now, yes, Subbu, go ahead.
Rahul, as part of the quality and service, the environment is also matter, right?
In the sense, can you elaborate a little on the question?
Suppose if Dinesh went to the some restaurant for getting the food, okay, so they provided excellent service. The way environment is looks not well actually. Okay, in this scenario, I mean, in this problem, it was the kind of service what they're providing to the customer. Maybe the quality of food is good, but the ambience or look of the feel of surrounding atmosphere may not be good.
Got it. So the differential here is even the pricing of that makes a difference. So I'll tell you where I've gone to, literally that Bandi, where I have still given 100 rupees for a dosa and ate it. Because they, over a period of time, they have built a brand for themselves based on the values that they have, the quality that they have, and the environment and the taste and everything that they offer. But that can be replicated by someone else. Still, I would go to this person because of the warmth that he has, the way he talks to me. The differentiator is what I'm trying to focus here. When I'm talking of service, we're talking about the ambience. As an example, the chai bandi can't give the Starbucks ambience. And so Starbucks might be charging 300. But for this person to move from 15 or 20, if he consistently makes the customer happy, when I asked, that's the reason I asked Dinesha, if he charges 50 tomorrow, will you still go? He said yes. Had it been only about value for money, he would have thought about it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you have to become or change the ambience to charge 300 rupees for the same coffee. That's all a calculation. That's all a calculation based on how you're approaching things and how you want to do it. I have come across so many brands, the smaller Bandi type also, wherein they have started to charge, they started their story from 10 rupees, 20 rupees. Today, for the same thing, they're charging 100 rupees. Just because they have over a period of time built a brand value beyond the taste. Because taste, I'm telling you, that kind of a dosa, anyone can copy. It's not a big matter. Get a good chef, make him taste it there and tell him to replicate it. It's possible. But what change or what difference is that connect? So here, as an example, the relationship that the person is building with the customers and the bond that he's building is the alpha factor. So by the way, when I said alpha factor is basically the differential which has led to your success. The differential which makes the entire game change. The dosa, the taste will all be same. Still, you will go to one place and not go to another place. Why? That alpha and the price and the success comes from that alpha. Because this level, anybody can open a bandi, sit anywhere, sell dosas for 20 rupees for a lifetime. How are you going to make sure that 20 is going to go up to 50, 100 and become a brand tomorrow? It's going to be based on that alpha. The alpha can be that customer service that you're offering. It can be the quality that you're offering and how you're approaching the relationships, the bond that you're building, how customer is experiencing, even if it's on a bandi, how is he experiencing having that food there? That is also alpha. So all these things we're just discussing so that until now we are still not gotten into the process, how to go about it. I'm still talking of understanding what is that alpha, how is it that the service can be worked around. Dinesha, go ahead. I hope I answered you, Subbu.
Yes, Rahul.
Okay, Dinesha.
I want to share one more experience. Regularly, I buy fruits from one of the fruit vendor. The way I go to the particular vendor, even though there are so many fruit vendors, the option one is the once we enter nearby, go there, the smile he will give. The warm welcome through his smile. Second one is he will give a complete option, like whatever the fruit we want to, the complete selection part, he will give a complete freedom. And the third is, even though if I'm not able to select, he will come forward and he will give, sir, select this one. This is good. This is giving me very good taste. Even mango. This is recently arrived. And he will give, start suggesting us like which fruit we have to take it. And next thing, last week, my son was not feeling well. I take a suggestion, which fruit should I buy? He will tell, he come across like, these are all the fruits you can take it. And these are all the fruits are not good for baby because he is suffering with the cold and fever. That's what the knowledge he has about the fruits and the coming forward and helping the customer. That is the reason from past 2 years, I stick to that same fruit vendor.
Interesting, Dinesha. This is what I was trying to refer when I'm talking of building the alpha. It's the same banana that he's going to buy from this shop in another one. And yet he goes to this store. Reflect on your stories where you as a customer, when you're choosing, like Madhu was saying, unconsciously, your choices which you're making reflect today, not during the session, later on you can write down on simple things like a restaurant, like the supermarket that you go, or like a hotel that you go, or the airline that you travel, any specific choice. Look at what is a differential because of which you're choosing something. Sometimes it may not be about the cost differential. And sometimes even if there's a cost differential, you still choose the higher one because you're getting something more. And this something more eventually in your careers, in the work that you do, in your jobs, in your opportunities that will open up to you, will all be defined by your alpha. What is your differential in how you're serving your customer? When I'm saying customer, whoso you're interacting with. It could be your boss, it could be your customer, it could be your, and wherever you're dealing with, whoso you're dealing with, that's your customer. Look at how are you creating an alpha which nobody else is doing. In Dinesha's case, look at the approach. That's the alpha. The dosa, the cleanliness is the alpha. Look at how you can understand and build that alpha. So Uma ma'am, if you're building a course, if you're selling a course, look at how and what is the alpha which is differentiating you. And I'm not just talking of different in the sense of the product in itself. The product could be still same, but in the service element, in the human behavior element, in the human factors which cannot be copied, what is that element that you bring in or you are offering that makes you different? Same with Chetan, because you're a teacher, I'm telling you this. With someone in an IT job, look at how you are building yourself. Add in a certification, add a new skill, add something different which will make your team, the entire set of people whom you're competing with, how are you making yourself different? What add-on thing are you going to offer? Tomorrow, if you're working on some Java, whatever, I'm not sure of the IT jobs. Tomorrow, if you tell that I also know web designing, I've recently done a course on animation. The alpha is what is going to serve you. The differential, what is beyond the normal. And it need not, like I mentioned, it need not be only about the product in itself. It can be about your attitude that you bring in. So if you're talking the same Java, everyone knows the same Java language, and there's one slot for a promotion. How is it that you have acted in the past which tells that you are a better fit? You have responded, you have shown commitment, you have taken initiative. That's your alpha. And all those I'm talking of broadly, these are all come under the service element. Broadly speaking, is how you are building your alpha in whatever things that you're doing. Look and focus on that. So the challenge is not about the expectations. When it comes to the other person, some person who's sitting, like Dinesha mentioned, some other fruit vendor sitting, his expectation is customer will come, he'll see good fruits and take them. While the vendor that he's going to, the fruits are same, good fruits, but it's not the only reason someone will come to me. Going beyond, how can I delight the customer? How can I give something more to the customer, which is what will attract them and make them stick to me? You got to find what will make people stick to you. You got to find what is that different where the employer will hire you. You got to justify what is that alpha for so that you don't get a 10% hike, you get a 20% hike. What is your alpha? Look at that and start building on that. And for that reason, do this activity after the session today. Like I mentioned, whatever your behavior is, why are you choosing someone? what is their alpha, which you liked. It need not be a case that whatever you like, everyone will like. But the point is, what is it that different? You are able to analyze that, and you will start working on you creating that kind of a differentiation to your customers. So having said that, let's get going with the process on how we can go about building the service, entire idea behind building the service, attitude, and delivering an experience which is offering an alpha. So there are three parts to it. One, so here we could get a little technical with regard to experience where we are selling or we are actually talking to a customer. You can please connect this to your experience, to your setup. So focus on that. So while, as an example, if I'm going to, if someone is employed as a seller or a customer service executive in a car showroom, someone is a service executive. How do you think they'll be preparing to build that alpha? What should you be doing? Suppose you are a sales executive of Tata Motors. What are you going to do and how are you going to prepare before the customers? I'm not talking of customer interaction yet. I'm talking before that. What are you going to do? Subbu, before actually a customer arrives, what are you doing so that you already started to work on building your alpha?
So I need to start with this kind of smile first.
No, customer is still not coming. You're sitting in your cabin. If you're smiling there, your boss will doubt you. Go ahead.
First, I need to be create some kind of. I'm going to offer something to the customer. Like while entering to the offer, the receptionist is going to pick up the normal formalities, like filling the forms and giving the water to them. And after that, I need to engage with the customer. So what is the main factor of coming here? What is any kind of challenges are? I mean, if you could take any core or anything. So how is that? I mean, what is the kind of issues we're having? We'll go for quick ride to identify the other issues as well.
Interesting. Thank you, Subbu. Anyone else? Yes, Chetan, go ahead. सब लोग कार एग्जीक्यूटिव तो सब बन गए. Go ahead, Chetan.
So first thing,
Rabia, 1 minute. Chetan.
First thing, we should have good knowledge of various brands about the features, positive, negative. So even if there are some negative points, how can we present it as make it positive in a positive way? Negative
को भी positive बना दो. बढ़िया. Go ahead. Interesting.
Yes.
Dinesha. Thank you, Chetan.
Sir, first thing I'll welcome with like thank you for trusting Tata.
नहीं, customer आया नहीं है.
Customer? Oh,
customer is not there.
Okay.
What are you doing? Because there's a work to do. What are you going to do so that you can start working before the customer arrives?
Before the customer means one is I am like a fan of Tata. Whatever they started, even Voltas, Tanishq, or Titan, all are ultimate brand. I fan of like Ratan Tata and their entire family. First, I will incorporate myself. Being if I am representing that organization, that should be there within us.
Interesting. Very interesting.
That is a facial expression or an attitude. How Ratan Tata would have welcomed the customer. How you have acted during that atmosphere. That I want to incorporate.
Thank you, Dinesh. I think that's a very interesting point. When you talk of, he's talking of Tata equal to Ratan Tata. The values that Ratan Tata has and what does and how would Ratan Tata exhibit that? So for Chetan, what does Chanakya Institute mean? What does it stand for? For Subbu, the company or the values or your team or however it is, whatever you're trying to represent, or if it's a personal brand like Uma ma'am, what do you stand for? What are the values that you have? Getting a clarity on that, because once you have a clarity on that, that becomes the exhibition. You're preparing on how do I present these values? How do I come across as this person? Because you could have an imagery. Uma ma'am could have an imagery that, okay, I am 30 years experienced. I'm calm, matured. I have that experience. I know how to tackle even the most fussy students or even someone who's the beginner or someone who's a pro. How would you represent that? The preparation begins there with having a clarity of what do you want to stand for and how do I work on presenting that value or act, that perception based on that. So first step, when you're beginning, is getting the values right. Very interesting point. And making sure how are you presenting yourself. I'll come to the other point which is shared. Ellen, go ahead.
Yeah, actually the customer is not there. What I used to do, whatever the existing customers are there, right? My role is somewhat different. I need to bring new customer to my company. For example, IBM, Amazon or something, lot of customers I used to get. What I used to do, I will prepare what and all our side we need to improve. What are the improvement I have to do based on the old customer, or else what is the new trend, what we need to upgrade ourselves. So those things I need to prepare. Whenever I have time, I used to prepare. Reason based on that one, I got result. Usually the day, for example, IBM deal, we are taken 5 months time. Another deal within a month, I get closed on HGS new company. So based on our working, what and all we need to upgrade ourselves. Like that planning actually.
Got it. Interesting, Ellen. Now you're talking of someone mentioned about, Chetan mentioned about the competitor products. What are our weakness? That's also a good place to understand. There will be weaknesses. You can't have everything. If you have everything, you don't have to market it. They'll come automatically. There will be always that comparison. So a preparation on that front with regard to what is it that makes me different, and there's still what is the flaw that I have and how can I project. This strength is much more important than this missing piece that I have. You're not trying to belittle the other brands. You're telling why your strength is much more important. So in example, in a job interview, you're telling based on the job description, you've prepared everything. You have told that everyone will say, I know Java. You ask me questions or I ask. How are you going to tell? They'll ask you something. There will be some aspect or something which you do not, or it's not your strength. But you'll have to focus on how is it that you're going to make or present the alpha to them, that you are a go-getter. You can learn anything. You can take initiative. I'm willing to learn. I'm a team player. What is your alpha and how are you presenting that along with the core strength which is required for that job? Not just focusing on that I know Java. I don't know this. Someone else will say, I know Java and I know this also. But beyond that, how are you presenting your alpha? In your team, in your set of people, in the people who are presenting to your job, how are you going about telling all the things that everyone, the boss, everyone is going to tell the boss? And what different are you going to say? What extra work are you going to deliver? How are you going to make the life a little more comfortable for your boss? Is what you need to think. The alpha will come there. The preparation for that happens much before. So we are not talking of yet the customer coming in. Having said that, then even without the customer coming in, we need to understand how and the kind of customers that we are targeting and what is their dynamics. Is there a, what do we say, a logical thought process? Is there a emotional drive behind what you're doing? Based on either of the approaches, what statistics can I give so that if a customer is logical, if I present them these statistics, it will work out. If a customer is emotional, what story can I tell in which he can be convinced? So based on that, even I'm not talking of still the customer coming. I'm talking of all the pre-work. This pre-work will also keep upgrading based on customer interactions. But what I'm still focusing on is when you're beginning with something, focus on getting the facts and the base work ready so that it doesn't look naive or novice, as you don't come across as novice when you are dealing with the customer actually. That time, this is not the work that needs to be done. I'll come to what we are doing at that point in time, but the base work to actually providing good quality service happens much before the customer you are engaging with. Any Madhu, you wanted to share something? Rabia, after Madhu, Rabia.
Okay. Yeah, the same, almost many points are covered. Before customer arrives, for example, I have 10 competitors. What they're providing, I'll make sure that that is also provided for my customer. And the other side, I'll try to write which I only can provide, others cannot provide. So I will write that. Suppose they come to my showroom, but in my showroom, there are 20 people. But other 19 people, what they can provide, I only can provide. I will try to write my points. So such uniqueness, which, because there are many people, but out of 10 or 20 people, maybe few people will comfortable with 2 or 3 people. Why? Suppose they'll ask many unnecessary questions also. They will, such a way they will answer, so that the customer won't feel any angry as other. So I wanted to prepare in such a way.
Interesting. One more thing is, there are not many times when you are aware of who's going to come, what kind of customers. How do you get to know customers even before they're coming? Or in the sense, how do you get going with knowing your customers? Because your entire idea of service is going beyond the expectations. But for that, you need to know the expectations. How do you get to know what are the expectations?
By the survey in the market.
Survey in the market. But whosoever is filling the survey, are you sure they are going to come to you?
No,
Because they're
means
talking
we
of you.
need to check up that what is in demand, what are the
Interesting.
products which are having a high rate of profit, like selling off,
Got
and
it.
what people welcome for the products. So after
Interesting.
going through the things, then we will come to know that this is in the market and what is lagging behind in the market, and that space we need to fill up with something new to add to, so that the customer can welcome this new product. It has to make its own space in the market by
Interesting.
analyzing the things. That's what I
Interesting.
feel.
That's a very good setup when before the customer has not arrived. Just remember, that's a very good setup or an approach to know about the customer before they are coming. So a good approach. Thank you, Rabia, for that. Now the customer is coming. Do you work around this aspect of the knowledge that you have customers, or are you looking at who the customer is? Because your statistic, your research, your research team, the inputs that you'll be getting will all be there. But at the end of it, you have a customer in front of you and is a human being. Whatever statistics and numbers can pull and give you will just be a reference, cannot be an exact estimate, exact answer to what the customer wants. So the most important thing when the customer comes, and a very simple philosophy, open your mouth and ask. We often assume, we often use the directive of every other source except for the customer. And that is where the flaw comes in. You need to open your mouth and ask questions. Now the question is, what questions do we ask? Remember the icebreaker session that we had? Don't go about talking about any icebreaker. My reference is focus on the objective where the customer is coming and build. This also needs to happen before. Build a repository of questions through which you know if this is checkbox, this is checkbox, 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 checkbox. So we are able to meet the customer's need. So have that list of around 20, 30, how many questions ever you have in your mind, prepared based on what can give you a direction to which side you want to take the conversation. That preparation of probing questions will help you in understanding what is the expectation of the customer. Otherwise, वो आया है 7-seater लेने, आप उसको 4-seater बेच दोगे. Your boss is expecting something, but if you don't open your mouth and ask, are you looking for something different? Are you looking for something specific? While you are giving your entire presentation, at the end of it, the presentation, the boss says, good one, but I was expecting, I was looking for this. The point is always ask. And for that, you have to prepare with good questions. That preparation, when you do before the customer comes, it becomes helpful for you to be calm and relaxed and know the direction that you're taking the conversation with the customer. Others, it will end up as random, a coffee table conversation, which doesn't help. And at times when your time is crunched, you need to make sure that it is very focused and you're getting what you want exactly from the questions. So the quality of questions make a very big difference over there. The preparation and the quality of questions will help you in easing into the customer in a very smooth fashion. So focus on in the preparation before and upgrading the questions later. In both ways, focus on how you are having a pattern in approaching the customer and getting going. Having said that, the most important thing is, we have already discussed, I think somewhere in the past, where we often, when we are salesmen, when we have an objective, I want this job, I want to impress my boss, I want this customer, I want this student to take up my package. Many a times with so much of a pressure of this motive that you have, end result that you have in your mind, सामने दिख जाता है, you are desperate. You are desperate. And the moment someone looks at your desperation, if a customer looks at your desperation, which is visible, there's far likelihood that he'll start feeling like a victim than as someone who's coming to talk to you. Because how many of you all get calls from HDFC Bank or any other bank, loan lelo? After the first line itself, I can say that I can see the desperation from those people. I don't deny, I'm not saying that it's not required, but the fact is the approach which is there needs to be different. The approach needs to be different. It's a job. I don't belittle them. It's a job. But the very reason why only a few people are able to succeed in that kind of a profession and making it consistently well is because of the approach being different. So there, what I'm telling you is, with everything, for you to actually not showcase that, you have to become a duck. Duck is a beautiful animal which if you look at it, whenever there's commotion, whenever there's chaos, whenever it has to do something, above the water, you'll see a beautiful, calm duck. Below, it is paddling its legs as though its life depended on it and there's a Jurassic Park running behind it. But at the top, nothing is visible. It's calm. It's like it's sailing through or whatever, smoothly going through the water. But at the bottom, it is running for its life. This is your preparation. This is a visibility to the customer. Many a times people don't land jobs because the interviewer can see the desperation that how desperately this person needs his job. If you show the same attitude that if you're giving the right value to me, if you're giving me the right price, I'll consider you. It could come across a little bit of an attitude, but people want that. People don't want who are going to chase them. They want someone who is worth and has shown an alpha. They would want to give an offer to them. So this is the approach. Like a duck, I've always used this simile for how I want to be. Right now within me, I might be thinking, am I making sense? ये क्या बोल रहा है? कोई response नहीं दे रहा, कोई question नहीं पूछ रहा है, कोई ऐसे घूर क्यों रहा है, क्या हो रहा है, क्या हो रहा है, क्या हो रहा है? But you might be seeing me smiling. That's the difference. So when you're making a pitch, you know your value. You know value. This thing which happens over time with preparation, this calms down. And this even becomes more confident. The alpha comes when the person is able to perceive the alpha. Going beyond that expectation, he's able to see the value in you, not a desperate person chasing the customer. That's what when I said at the start of the session, second call in the morning, Uma might be excited and joyful and talking, okay, if you want, you can join. It's going to be a good offer. It's going to be a good course. I'm going to add value. By the 25th, if there's been no conversion, look at how she'll be speaking at the 25th with the 25th customer. Want to try? Sign in once, I think you'll see the benefit. I'll call you tomorrow again. I'll send a WhatsApp. See the difference in approach. Is it visible to you? That's what we're seeing. There's a difference. Not visible, visible. Focus on how you're dealing with it. It's already 10 o'clock and we are almost like just halfway through this program. But it has a lot of technical aspects. This is actually a program which I've done for corporates. I've done it for Kalanjali, I've done it for Nilima Hospital, wherein it was about service orientation for them. So it had audience from the range of the gatekeeper or the receptionist to the HOD of their department. In Kalanjali, from the salesman to the head of or the manager of that wing. So this is a program which it's actually a one-day program. So I would rather than rushing through the end of it, I'll want to continue this program next week. And I would want each one of you all to come back with stories of where you saw the alpha and what impacted you. because we'll be able to discuss much more, and with your stories, we'll be able to make much more deeper impact on the learning from this session. So with that, until now, any questions you want to have, if you have, please feel free to shoot. Else, we'll continue next week, right from here, what we have left with. But more importantly, because you didn't know, when I said service, the alpha factor kya hai pata nahi, or service was about giving the definition that we had in mind. But with now this context of this is what the program is, and not just about sales or selling to a customer, but about how you are approaching and in dealing with every individual who is your customer technically, by definition of what we have discussed. Look at how you're building your alpha, how you're making an impact with your alpha, understanding it and leaving that alpha visible to the customer. Over the next 1 week, I would want you all to think about all the things that we have, start working on implementing the ideas that we have discussed until now, and also build a collection of stories. I want stories from each one of you all, which we can use while we're discussing the follow-up of this program, where we're going to talk about, we have talked about what has to be done before, we have talked a little about what has to be done during the conversation, and we'll be talking about what has to happen after the conversation. That's what is going to be the base for next week's session. Rather than rushing and closing it, I thought I'll leave this here, and it has a good idea for you to work on for the next week. Think on it, get stories. We love to listen to the stories, like we had Dinesha, Madhu, Chetan, all of you all sharing all these stories that you had. Very interesting stories, but they have a lot of lessons for us in what we can do, although we are not selling to someone. But the reality is we are selling to someone. A mother is selling, a wife is selling, your boss is selling, your teacher is selling, your parents are selling to you something. Everyone is selling. And this is a skill that needs to be developed, because selling and the worth that you get is purely based on not what is it that you're offering. It's the alpha that you're presenting that makes the sense and gives you the worth of how you're going to earn, not in just monetary terms, but the impact terms of how you're going to make a difference. I'll open it for questions now or any feedback. Until now, waiting to listen from you all now. Waiting.
Or just small thing. People will talk about personal branding. About this service also, again, it is connecting to my previous question. It has to be built within ourselves, because as we discussed, okay, the guy, suppose for example, we go to grocery store, the guy, he smiles with us, okay sir, this is fine, okay, if you don't like this, we have this. He's talking very nice. When his like worker or something is coming, something mistakenly something is done, and he shouts in front of us only, and that emotion he shows in front of us, and they say, do you want anything else? So I don't like it, that even though he's talking to me nice, but I don't like that nature, how this is going to connect with our personal branding as well as service also. Because whether I'm a customer, that is the reason, I mean, because I'm a customer, he's giving, that means he's not his natural kind of thing. But why I'm using this word means, people, now it's free, but suppose it's when a heavy rush is there, he will act with me also same, like, what is that? No, sir, this is not there, like that. Because that naturality will come. That is the reason even I got that. Maybe we may need to change ourselves also, because that really helps us in our relationships also, I felt.
Very interesting point, Madhu. I think when you're talking about, I nowhere said you have to act. I said we have to up our game with regard to how we are presenting ourselves. There will be flaws. At home, I could be a completely different person. At home, I could be shouting or not that great with my kids. But what matters is here how I'm with you. And if you make inroads into the life of every individual, there will be flaws. And there will be situations. So as a customer, like you saw, he's shouting at it, I might not like it. But the fact is, it's all about how well you're presenting or managing yourself. because these are two different programs. One is what you're talking about is me as an individual, how can I become better? The second one is about I'm focusing right now on the presentation part. It is exemplified with who you are, obviously. A large part of what I'm talking here, the way I'm behaving here, is from who I am as an individual. But it is not completely and only that. I will have my flaws. You have not seen them. But here I'm not focusing on those flaws. I'm not focusing on my life or me as an individual. It does have an impact. And this has to be worked upon. I'm not saying you become master presenters. This has to be worked upon. But that is something which we are focusing on right now, is that part of presentation and how you are bringing about that alpha is what we're talking about.
Got it.
So yeah, these are two different aspects. Personal development is also important. But there are times, as an example, I'll tell you where the alpha is. As a police officer, you might have to behave in a certain way, in a certain angry young man types. That is demanded by the presentation which is required to create the alpha. To your senior, that looks as a credibility that you can control your team, that you are in charge of your team. But because it is like that, I'm expected to behave. If I can behave the same way with my kids, the reverse also backfires. So I'm saying the presentation on what creates that alpha is what you have to focus on. I'm focusing on that right now. I'm not focusing on me as an individual. So all I wanted to just mention that. Any other questions, anyone? All are silent types. I'm not understanding.
Sir, I have just a recall of the topic. Today you mentioned there are 3 parts in that overall topic. In that you have covered before the customer meet and during the discussion.
During half. Again, we have not completed the complete during part. We'll complete, and based on the stories and all those things that we'll be listening next week, we'll be picking up and building on those about the during part. And then we'll move on to the closing part or the follow through part. Okay. So yeah, that will be the focus. But let me tell you, abstract discussions won't add value. When, like today, we had the dosa coming in, we had other things coming in, it'll add to the masala which we are going to have. That's where the real fun and the real experiences will come. So Ellen was sharing something, Subbu was sharing something, Dinesha, you shared something. Your stories is what will tell us ground level realities of how alpha is actually created rather than some textbook knowledge. I have my own stories, but again, they will be partly relevant, partly not relevant. You won't be able to connect or something like that. But yes, the focus is bring in your stories and you should be able to find a connect to what you are doing in your life. Because right now I'm looking at you as a customer stories. But the real learning and the focus will be you dealing with some customers, because that is where your challenge lies. Customer, though, I am the king right now. I can do anything and I can just see how I'm benefiting or what I'm getting. But you, if you were to deal with a customer like that, what is the learning that you can take away and change for yourself? How can you build your alpha is what the focus is going to be. We are going to derive that value from you as a customer. Okay. Yes, Mohit, go ahead. Galti se ho gaya. You're on mute.
I had one query, like I'm into sales only. So there are some customers which are very big size. Like for me, for example, if I manage to close them, I am happy. And there are many customers which are very, very small sizes. So obviously, like I am more inclined towards the big customers, and the small customers I'll not be looking to give them that service. I'll be like, I'll respond them late. I'll send them the things late. And I'll respond. Basically, I'll respond to them late. But the big ticket people, I'll respond them very fast, because that is what I do. But I don't know. For me, it is good. I feel it is good, but I don't know it is right or wrong. Maybe that small customer will be big customer tomorrow. But exactly. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Exactly. The point is, the challenge with bigger customers, if someone is already big, they're actually paying you less. They have the leverage. They have, because they are big, you are the one who are taker. But when it's a smaller customer, because I come from a jewelry industry where I know if I'm selling 2 kgs gold ornament to someone when compared to 20 grams to someone, the effort and the 80-20 principle, they'll give me 80% business, but they're just 20%. But the point is, for that 80%, they're giving me far lesser margin. I need that scale, no denying the fact. I need that scale. I need that 2 kg sale. But they're giving me far lesser margin and far even lesser respect. Because I am one, they are the elephant in the room and I'm the smaller one. When it comes to the other side of the story, if you make this other smaller ones feel the same way, the bond and the long-term respect that you get, the connection that you build is something which is going to make you actually grow. You will get the big ticket size, the targets will be met by the bigger one, but the value and the relationships and the future will be built by the smaller ones. If you look at that approach and build on that, see how these small tickets, and they'll grow only when you put your soul into it. They won't grow if you have that approach that the big one is being responded early and the smaller one, because he's small, it's okay, we can wait, they can wait, they're getting lesser money. If that is the approach, in the long run, when they become big, they won't choose you because Mohit responds late. Today I'm giving 10 crore business. Tomorrow, if I give 1,000 crore business, if he responds late, what happens? And it doesn't have to be that all your 100 clients who are 10 crore clients, as an example, have to grow. You just have to make sure that of the 100, 5 are growing to become 100 crore clients or 1,000 crore clients. The relationship that you have with them is what is going to sustain your career in the long run. Because tomorrow, when they become big and they're looking for someone in your team or in your company only, they'll say that we want Mohit. Why? Because he didn't care about my size. He cared about the service that he wanted to give. But you'll have to make an effort for that 100 people to find these 5 people. I understand it's a painful journey, but every successful fund manager or in whatever industries, the growth has happened from these 5 people out of these 100. That's where your growth ladder in your career comes up, with giving service for these 100 people and waiting for those 5 to emerge. That's where the game is. Long term, there's no shortcut to it. There's a long cut only there. Keep putting in the efforts and you'll see out of those 100 seeds, 5 will flourish and 5 will flourish. And once they flourish, you are the reason for them. And you will flourish because they are flourishing. So it is challenging. I'm not denying that you can give 100 everyone the same amount of service that you are giving to the big tickets. But make sure there's a genuine attempt to make it faster, to make it quicker, so that it's visible from your end that you're giving an effort. Because there are other people in the market who are doing the same mistake that you're doing. Late response, smaller business. You are creating your alpha by providing the same amount of service or a good quality service or reasonable quality of service despite the small ticket business. This is the alpha that we're talking of today, on how you're building that for yourself, for your career, and who serves your customer. Here you are talking of actual customers and clients into sales. For others, we are talking of everything else. So I hope that answers you, Mohit.
Yes.
Perfect. So with that, we come to an end today. Anyone has anything else to share, any feedback up until now, so that I can work on for the next week and append this? Or
sorry, I missed out the first part. Actually, I went out to buy books for my daughter.
No problem. We'll share the recording. You can go ahead with that. And
yes. I just wanted to know, what is alpha actually?
Alpha is basically the difference, the differentiating factor beyond the normal. Because everyone does this. But the reason for success is who is doing that extra bit. That is called the alpha factor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Akanksha, go ahead.
Sir, a question. Is the alpha factor the dominating factor or just the differentiating factor?
Largely, if it's a dominating factor, it becomes the assumed part of it. A dominating factor generally is the assumed factor. When it comes to presentation and the factor which is making a difference, it won't be that 90% or 95%. It's that 5% extra which we're talking of is what will be the differentiating factor. So it's not dominating in the size and the effect, but it is a differentiating factor. I hope I've not confused you more, because I know if I do not convince, I confuse them. Go ahead, Akanksha. See, when it comes to dominating, we are talking of, I'll tell you, with you as a student, the alpha for you will be the whole year, the studies which you did. Everyone did them. Everyone did them for 10 months. Everyone studied. Everyone did their preparation exams, whatever prep exams. The alpha for you could be that 1 week extra preparation that you did, or that extra 1 hour that you studied over the last 2 months before exams. The impact on the results will be of this differentiator. Dominating part, 10 minute to padhai ki hai na, that is dominating, that is there, but that is assumed for everyone. Everyone will do that. The alpha will be the extra thing that you have done, and that in effect makes a difference between 9.8 and 9.5. Getting it? That's the difference. Anyone else, any other question? Okay, so with that, I'll just end the session the usual way, and then we'll stay back. It'll be good to talk to you all. With that, we come to the end for today's part 1 of service, the alpha factor. Let me close the usual way. Saturday nights have never been this beautiful for the last 109 Saturday nights. It's been an honor to be sharing our perspectives, listening to your perspectives, and gaining new perspectives. Thank you for the love that you keep coming back every Saturday night and adding life to our life and to every member of the Speaker Club. See you next Saturday, 9 p.m. again. Good night, everyone.